Hello, everyone, and welcome to this video for Men's Minds Matters. I, of course, am your host, Aaron Ryder, and we're going to be talking about yet another version of toxic co-parenting. In this case, it is the issue of undermining your authority. What does that mean when your child is undermining your authority? Let's take a look at it. First of all, your ex may use this tactic to belittle your importance in your child's life. They may set up a different set of rules in order to be the quote-unquote good or quote-unquote fun parent. This tactic can also create conflict in your home, as the child may struggle to respect your authority. So every parent with a child should have authority. And now I know that respect is something that is earned. However, you are this child's parent. There is a certain amount of respect that should be intrinsic in your role as a parent. And so this is an effort by your ex to undermine that type of thing. So what not to do? What do we not want to do in this situation? The first is assume everything that they're saying is coming from your ex. You know, it's possible, especially if you have teenagers, but all children, they're going to rebel a little bit. Congratulations. If you didn't want a child that doesn't rebel, go get a puppy. Don't have a human, because your child will eventually grow up, and it does not take them very long. I mean, why do we call it the terrible twos and threes? Because they're starting to say no and starting to rebel and not doing what we want. So do not assume that simply because they are questioning or butting up against your authority that is coming from your ex, because that is just part of being a child and trying to grow up. Also, failing to show love and empathy. And this is important even when you are having to correct your child's behavior. Remember that you are doing this as a result of your love for them, and that you want to show empathy to them with a difficult thing. There's some great parenting stuff, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I've always found it helpful to start off a corrective action with, I know you like, or something to that effect, showing empathy when we have to set out a consequence on our child. And then the other thing is to not become overly indulgent to compensate. And that's a tough one, because if the other parent is the fun parent or the good parent, we might want to go the opposite direction or try and buy our kids loves. Well, at the end of the day, remember that your child is not a pawn in the games between you and your ex. Your child is a human being. You are not raising a weapon against your ex. You are raising a human being. And that is important to remember. At the end of the day, you still have standards. And even if your ex is not going to abide by those, you still keep them. And ultimately, you will continue to have your relationship with your child. Children still love their parents, even when their parents have to come down on them, provided they do it in the correct way. And we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like here. So how do you cope? The first thing is to forgive your child when they've done wrong, and then also seek forgiveness when you're wrong. There is no such thing as a perfect human being, except maybe Jesus, and you're not Jesus. So be willing to forgive your child when they make a mistake, and be willing to ask forgiveness when you make a mistake. Make it a habit. And it can be very little things. I'm sorry, I forgot that. Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't remember to do that. I'm sorry, I didn't think about your feelings when I did that. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you weren't ready. Something like that. Ask for forgiveness. And then, of course, part of your child's reconciliation with you when they've done something wrong, if you've, let's say, issued a consequence, part of that consequence would be having to come back and apologize to either you or whoever else they offended. Just a real quick note, and this one came right from my mother. Whenever you have an apology situation, if someone comes and apologizes to you, I'm a big fan of, rather than saying, that's okay, saying, I accept your apology. That is the appropriate response, because sometimes what they did is not okay. But by saying, I accept your apology, you are accepting that what they did was wrong, but that you forgive them for it. So I'm a big fan of that concept of I accept your apology. Next up, foster kindness. And of course, this is part of being able to forgive and showing empathy, but teach your child how to be kind to other people, to other living things, to be kind to the world around them. And you show that by your example as well as your direction. And if you do that, it will make it difficult to undermine your authority. And then next up, positive parenting or common sense parenting. So I put the common sense parenting up there because that is actually one of the things I'm certified in is the teaching family model. And we use common sense parenting as our curriculum. It is a great curriculum. I know there's others out there, but since this is the one I use, that's the one I'm biased. So common sense parenting, great curriculum to use, but anything positive parenting, you're going to end up on the right direction. So utilize those skills, and remember those come from those directly correspond with what not to do. Is using these common sense parenting techniques to help your child know right from wrong and to learn. So how do we be non-toxic? Always try to speak with your ex with respect and expect your child to do the same. Try to communicate and enforce a set standards of rules whenever possible. Support your ex when they issue reasonable consequences and communicate with them rather than undermine them when they don't. I realize that there is a lot in that paragraph to think about, and it is not easy. In fact, let's be honest, if you and your ex saw eye to eye and everything, you wouldn't be separated to begin with. So trying to come up with a separation of rules, even for couples who have been together, are in a loving marriage, and they're stable, they don't always see eye to eye either. So you can imagine that when you are in a separate household, it's even harder. But do your best. Remember, you are raising a human being, and that is the most important thing. And if you stick to that idea, and that will naturally lead to you not wanting to undermine the authority of your other parent. By the way, that will also lead to the undermining of your authority as well, and authority figures in the world around them. So do not do it. Encourage respect for authority, and of course, remembering that respect is earned. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. And if you do, we always encourage you to follow our channel and share it and comment and whatever else, because we appreciate doing these for you. Thanks and have a good day.